It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. We are joined in studio by the newest all-star panelist and one of our guest hosts, E.J. Haas. Welcome, E.J.
Good morning.
So we're going to try to unravel a bit this mystery of the alleged killer of the United Healthcare CEO. The United Healthcare CEO's name is Brian Thompson, murdered last week in New York City, shot in the back by an unknown assailant wearing a mask.
On video.
And they tracked down, they had one image of the guy's face. He stayed at a hostel. And that image was broadcast around the world. Yesterday, the individual, who was later identified as Luigi Mangione, showed up at a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania. He apparently got off a bus stop. He was wearing a beanie and a mask. But apparently a customer there and an employee called the local police. A rookie cop went to the McDonald's, saw him, asked him to take his mask down, immediately saw that it was the alleged killer.
Right.
And then asked him to produce identification. He produced a false driver's license, and he was arrested on those charges. And first arrested and taken into custody on those charges. The key element of this, I thought, was when they asked him, have you been to New York City recently? He was quiet and started shaking.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I have obviously more questions than answers, right?
You think?
There's a lot of questions surrounding this whole thing. It's very, very bizarre. So we do have the image from the hostel. We also got some images from Starbucks, where he went prior to. Think of the preparation and planning it would take for this. How did he know where Brian Thompson would be at what time? Now
that is a really good question. How did he know? And apparently the guy, fell off the deep end, literally, of life.
Yeah.
He was a graduate. His parents were very wealthy, construction family in Baltimore. He went to an elite private school, got a bachelor's degree in computer science and engineering from Penn, then a master's degree. There's no indication if he ever actually had a job.
Right, that's true.
I mean, maybe he did, but he ended up in Hawaii. Reportedly
seems to be a very popular place for psychopaths. I hate to say it, but Ryan Routh, attempted assassination on Trump's life.
Was there?
And he spent time and has family in Hawaii.
So apparently, the report is he kind of dropped out of sight. His family didn't know where he was.
Friends were trying to reach out to him.
Friends were trying to reach him. So he was going down, obviously a very dark place. However, and apparently he had back surgery that didn't go well, and he was in chronic pain.
His social media cover photos showed the pins in his back. Friends have come forward and said, that they could tell that was a turning point for him, that he was in a lot of pain, which is, understandable. There are some allegations. These are supposedly from a roommate, that he was not able to perform as a man, so to speak. And so I can imagine that was extremely depressing and could throw a person over the deep end. I mean, he was likely on pain medication, most likely. Obviously, we're making accusations and assumptions here. But he's also consistent with psychedelic drug use as far as his behavior with his friends and family and things like that.
So I'm looking at his X account is still up there.
Which is a little nuts, right?
Yeah, it's at Pep Mangione, Luigi Mangione. If you do a search for Luigi Mangione.
Oh, you'll find it.
You'll find it. He follows 72 accounts. I checked about a week ago, before any of this murder happened, he had 7,000 followers. Today he has 316,000 followers. And you are correct. There are a couple of images there. There's one of him smiling at the Philadelphia Museum. There's one of him looks like he's backpacking with no shirt on. Mm-hmm. Kind of buff.
He's definitely a fitness buff, right?
And it looks like some mountains in Hawaii. But then, as you say, there's this X-ray of 4 pins in a back, which maybe that's him, maybe it's not. I don't know, but it's just weird.
Has anybody bothered to ask? I haven't heard one media person ask anyone, did he have United Healthcare insurance?
No, these are the questions.
And if he did, where did he get it? Because he's 26 now. So conceivably, he wouldn't be on mom and dad's anymore, right? In order to have United, he would have most likely had a job.
Let's think about this, because he was born. Let me just think about this for a moment. He was born in July of 98. July 20th.
So he has a little bit of time left on the 26-year-old time frame.
No, he would have been in July of this year. He would turn 26.
Turn 26. Okay.
So, but when did this? He started being weird early 2024. Mm-hmm. Here's some of the latest from the New York Times. The suspect, Luigi Mangione, 26, was charged with murder late on Monday after his arrest at a McDonald's in Altoona. An internal police report obtained by the Times. How can they get police reports and we don't?
How did that? In record time.
Yeah.
This manifesto will be released. I'll bet you it will.
It's supposedly like three pages.
62. I heard 62 pages.
Well, I heard different reports.
So
on
we'll
it.
see what happens.
It would have been hard to fit that much into a backpack, but apparently the police report was obtained by the Times, and they said he had the potential to be seen as a, quote, martyr, an example to follow. So he that's kind of how he looked at himself, apparently, according to this asterisk. A suspect charged with murder in New York and the assassination of the chief executive of United Healthcare in Midtown Manhattan saw the killing as, quote, a symbolic takedown, end quote, according to an internal police report that detailed parts of a 3-page manifesto found with him at the time of his arrest. Now, again, here's this 3-page manifesto. Apparently the FBI hasn't swooped in on it yet.
Why not?
Huh?
Why not?
Well,
I mean, I'm not in favor of the FBI keeping things big fat secrets, right? But the inconsistency is pretty intense, don't you think?
In less than 10 hours, key elements of the content of this 3-page manifesto have been released. Meanwhile, it took us, the 1,000-page Covenant Killer Manifesto, which we've been seeking for over a year and a half. Nothing of that has been officially released yet.
Yep, nothing. It's truly unbelievable.
That is weird.
Yeah, and the writings of Ryan Routh. Why don't we have that?
Yeah.
Why don't we know more about Thomas Crooks? They pick and choose who they want us to know about. So that raises red flags in my mind. And, maybe I'm getting too conspiratorial, but
it's all right. Ryan Routh.
I think there's something weird about this one. This Luigi guy doesn't look the same in all the images. He doesn't have the same backpack. He's clean shaven. Where's his razor? Where's the rest of his stuff? He's obviously still fit. If you saw some of the images like mugshot and supposedly, who knows if it was true or not, the one in his holding cell. So I have questions.
If he's got a back problem,
it's not
the other
adding
question,
up.
If he's got a back problem, how's he working out like this?
Right.
And staying fit.
Right.
It's this.
I don't deny the back problem, but is he taking something that makes it? Because he walked away calmly. He didn't have a limp. He got on a bike.
All these things are weird.
Right?
Yeah. All right, we'll have more. We'll continue with the mystery of Luigi Mangione after this.
Hey there, this is Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of the Glock Store. As a proud sponsor of this show, you may have heard Michael Patrick Leahy mention us a few times over the past 4 years. But today, it's me on the radio telling you how pleased we are to be associated with Michael Patrick Leahy and his dedication to the highest levels of professional journalism. Michael Patrick Leahy has been threatened with jail time in bringing the true facts about that Nashville Covenant shooting to his listening audience. Michael Patrick Leahy, you keep doing what you're doing, and we here at the Glock Store will keep sponsoring your show for the good of Nashville and the entire country. And I'm personally inviting all of your listeners to come visit and shoot at the Glock Store. It's where Michael Patrick Leahy learned to shoot a gun for the first time and where he bought his own personal Glock 19. I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of the Glock Store here in Nashville, just minutes from the airports, worth the drive from anywhere, and a proud sponsor of Michael Patrick Leahy and the Tennessee Star Report.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. In studio, E.J. Haast, all-star panelist, guest host of the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. This is sort of the mystery hour.
Right.
We're trying to unravel the mystery of Luigi Mangione, the 26-year-old Ivy League graduate from a very wealthy family who has been arrested for the murder, the brazen murder in Midtown Manhattan last week of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Shot him in the back, escaped on a bike, captured, arrested yesterday in Altoona, Pennsylvania. Now, we're trying to figure out, well, what motivates this guy? When did he go off the deep end? It's sometime this year he went off the deep end, back surgery involved apparently. One of the things that we're looking at is his X account is still up, and sometimes you can tell a lot about who a person follows on their X account. By the way, if you're listening, you can go right now at Pep Mangione, Mangione. Thank you. And you can see it. You can he's gone from 7,000 followers to 317,000 in a week since he became infamous. The first person that he follows is the leftist New York Times columnist Ezra Klein. Okay, so he follows that person.
I mean, plenty of people follow Ezra Klein.
2.5 million, as
yeah,
it turns out.
It's kind of a lot.
In addition, Sam Altman. You know, Sam Altman is the AI guy, right?
Yep.
Right, the one who's got the open AI, was a
came
nonprofit.
out with Chat first.
Yeah,
Chat GPT.
Shifted it over, and that guy, who's got the conflict with Elon Musk, also follows Edward Snowden, and the spy guy who's in Russia right now. Also, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Okay. And now this is going to be interesting. Now it gets Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Patrick Bet David. You know who Patrick Bet David is?
I don't.
He's kind of a blogger who's, what's the right word? He's got an entertainment company. He's, I don't know if we call it, he's opinionated.
Okay.
Shall we say. And he sort of bought his way into podcast fame. Brett Weinstein, who is sort of was a leftist, but now has come out as more of a populist. Let's see, there was somebody else.
Do you know who was following him before he was a person of interest?
Who?
Taylor Lorenz.
Wow.
She was following him, according to reports, well before he became a household name.
I mean, nobody would know who
That's
he was.
weird, right? How do you know who he is?
Taylor. Okay, now we start going into weirdness. Taylor Lorenz was sort of the internet stalker at the Washington Post, who has come out publicly and applauded.
Not just applauded,
the murder.
Celebrated and praised, and then went so far as to say, "Hey, just in case you're looking for another one," and literally called someone else out, another exec by name.
So where did you get that Taylor Lorenz had been following this guy?
Yeah, so
before
you can look before he let's see, less than 900 followers on X before he was a POI. Lorenz was following him. Yeah. So this is from Internet Sleuths. So if there's some folks on here. So Kylie Jane Cremer, somebody that I followed for quite a while, tends to have credible information on there. Did a little deep dive into Taylor Lorenz.
So also, because he lived in Hawaii for a while, he followed Senator Stanley Chang, Hawaii State Senator D, Democrat, who says, together we can solve the housing shortage. Okay. There was a couple other shit.
I mean, I think it's pretty fair to say that he's left-wing, Ivy League educated, wealthy family, all coastal cities that he's lived in, spent time in Hawaii. I think that's a pretty safe assumption, right? That he was anti-capitalist based on his ex-posts. And, you know, I mean, that seems to be pretty clear. What's unclear is what made him go off the deep end. And so I think that's what we have to get to the bottom of, or what the FBI or whoever's doing the investigation now needs to get to the bottom of.
He also followed Matthew Johnson, a drug researcher, a psychedelic scientist.
Not surprising.
I
Didn't I tell you psychedelic drugs? Now that's like the third or fourth time I've heard something about that. So maybe there's something to it.
He conducted seminal psychedelic research for 20 years at Hopkins. Expertise in many drugs, behavioral economics, and addiction. Okay. Andrew Huberman, PhD, professor of neurobiology and ophthalmology at Stanford Medical Center. Trevor Noah, the leftist comedian. And, well, this is weird. He also follows Tesla, the Tesla guy.
Really?
I don't know. So what other questions do you have for this? And I guess my other question for you is, how do we know so much about this guy, even though there's still questions?
Yeah.
Less than a week before he was identified, and still 5 months after Thomas Crooks attempted to assassinate Donald Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania. We don't know very much about him.
We don't.
And we certainly don't know that much about Ryan Ralph, another guy from Hawaii.
Yeah.
Who tried to assassinate Trump on his golf course.
Right. So the questions are many. I mean, my goodness, I want to know if he had United Healthcare. I want to know how he knew where this guy would be. Was it him or were there others? There's a video that apparently has been taken down, at least one that was a YouTube video that mentions December 11th. That would be tomorrow. And that more will be revealed, or everyone will know. And he apologized for the strife that would come. So there's definitely more to this story. It's not just some vagrant, druggie or whatever that went off the deep end and just killed a random person. He knew exactly who he wanted, and he was super calm about it. So that is very bizarre to me also. Also did not have any problem walking. I mean, if he's
got a back
problem, right? Rode a bike. He's been on buses. The arrest video when they're pulling him out of the vehicle.
Let's take a look at that arrest video right now. We may not have audio, but I'll just describe it. So this is Altoona, Pennsylvania yesterday. There's the image. They're taking him out of a SUV. He's standing up straight. He's walking.
Hands behind his back.
He doesn't seem to have any problem whatsoever walking.
No wincing, no pain, no showing of pain. Now, that doesn't mean he's not like on something to calm the pain, right? I mean, we're making assumptions here, but he got out of that vehicle with ease.
Yeah.
He walked in with ease, kind of being, I don't want to say manhandled. It wasn't like they were rough or anything, but, awkward to be walking with your hands behind your back and that sort of thing. And no problems.
This from the New York Times 1 hour ago. The McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania, where Luigi Mangione was arrested, had security guards posted inside this morning, to help manage the influx of reporters and curious observers.
Right.
At one table, customers teased an employee, asking him where he was when the arrest happened, why he wasn't there to take down Mangione himself. Okay.
I imagine so here's going to be another big question. What's on the computer? He was using the computer. He was at the McDonald's for a period of time. Some say an hour, some say 30 minutes. Most likely wanted the Wi-Fi right? Is going to be my guess for his computer. Does he have a cell phone? We know he had a burner phone. Supposedly, we know, that he had a burner phone that he dropped. So does he have another cell phone? He must, because he was getting texts and phone calls from family. Some of that from friends have been released.
Recently getting?
Yeah, oh yeah, because he basically went missing. So there's a friend who released, and actually was on, I want to say it was MSNBC, former roommate and friend who was, saying, yeah, I was sending him texts, what's going on with you? Yeah. So I assume he has a telephone number.
Here's the latest from the New York Times. And 1 hour ago, the internal police report also provided some analysis of the suspect. It noted that based on the 3-page manifesto, quote, he likely views himself as a hero of sorts who has finally decided to act upon such injustices, end quote. Again, we got his manifesto in less than 24 hours. A year and a half later, we're still waiting for the Covenant Killer manifesto.
And we're still waiting on some of the writings of Ryan Routh. So I do, you mentioned Mike Benz earlier, and he has been really fantastic reporting on Ryan Routh. We should have him back on the show.
Yeah, exactly.
And let's talk about that.
We'll have more when we get back. This is the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. She's EJ Host.
My fellow Americans, I was this close, very close, to buying from the lumber yards. These are sick people. But I turned my head at the last second, and I saw a big, beautiful ad for D.T. McCall's. These are highly respected people. If I had not turned my head at the last second, I would have been ripped off at some lumber yard for $200 in hidden charges, and D.T. McCall & Sons are never going to do that. They'd never do that to you. These are great people. I've known them for a long time. They have great deals, and I just have to say, nobody knows deals like I do. D.T. McCall & Sons has locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, and they have been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years. These are tremendous people. D.T. McCall & Sons. Check out one of their stores today.
Impersonator not endorsed by Donald Trump.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. EJ Haas in studio with us. EJ, you and I have an interest in all the technological changes going around.
I do. I've been a technology buff for years. Well, you know, I have the website getfoundeverywhere.com.
What is that?
Getfoundeverywhere.com. It helps small businesses compete with the big guys, get found on Google and, you know, Bing and Yahoo and all the maps and all of that kind of stuff. And then we also allow you to answer all your DMs, post to socials, all with one login. So it's a security feature for your business as well.
So I've gone through this whole technology cycle. When I was living in the Bay Area, I was like an early adopter.
Yeah.
Right. You may not remember because you're younger than I am, but the big thing that came out was spreadsheets.
Right.
Right. That was the big thing, and database management software.
Okay.
And the big one, there were two that came out before. Right now, I guess the standard would be Excel from Microsoft Word,
Right.
but the very first one was called VisiCalc.
Yeah, I didn't use VisiCalc.
Your eyes are glazing over. Yeah, VisiCalc. That was the first spreadsheet.
Okay.
It was huge. They made a lot of money. It's called VisiCore. Doesn't exist today.
Okay.
But the founders made a lot of money. I remember, I think I interviewed them for a job with them once way back when. Didn't get the job, but it was fun talking to them. And then came Lotus 1-2-3. Do you remember that?
I do remember Lotus.
All right.
Yep.
Now we're up to. So I went from being an early adopter. As I grew older, I became kind of a Luddite.
Okay.
Late adopter. Maybe not a Luddite, but late. You know, historically, the Luddites were a group in England in the early part of the 19th century who were weavers, who like had their jobs manually, were, weaving. And they would go into a factory and destroy all the machines that were automating weaving. Mm-hmm. Luddites. And I guess Mr. Ludd was their head.
They were a little anti-technology.
Anti-technology. Mm-hmm. And there's a thread of that here in the world today. But now, things move in a cycle. So now I'm moving back into, I've gone from early adopter
Mm-hmm.
to quasi-Luddite to almost early adopter now.
Okay.
Particularly with regards to AI, because I think it's important in terms of how it might apply to journalism. But you have we're going to do a little dueling AIs here in a bit, which is one of the things that we like to do when you're here. But you've got a story about a technology improvement, asterisk, that is a little scary. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so yesterday, Google kind of casually threw out there this announcement that Willow is ready, and it is terrifying. Do you know what Willow is?
Well, see, when you say Willow, didn't Ron Howard have a movie called Willow about 20 years ago? Or?
Not the same. Not the same.
same.
No, Google has a new quantum computing chip that is called Willow, and it's terrifying because of how fast it can move, how fast it can solve problems. So Willow's performance on this benchmark is astonishing. It performed a computation in under 5 minutes that would take one of today's fastest supercomputers 10 septillion years to solve.
Okay.
Do you know how many zeros there are in 1, 2, 3,
so
4.
that's-
Way too many.
So tell us the significance of this.
Okay, so not only did they announce that, but they also said it lends credence to the notion that quantum computation occurs in many parallel universes. Just kind of casually puts it out there like we have these multiple universes. I personally, the thing that scares me the most about it isn't solving problems. I think technology to solve problems is great, and I think that's why God gave us brains that are working the way they do. However, they can also be used for evil, and that's the part that scares me.
Are you suggesting? Wait for it. That Willow will leave us weeping. That was pretty bad.
That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad, Michael.
That was a Carmichaelism. Wah wah. We need a little bit of that. Go and grab some wah 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 sound effects.
But I do think that this lends more to like the other AI that we're seeing happen a lot, which is like deep fakes. Where they can make someone look like they said something, and it's funny when it's a meme and it's Donald Trump and Elon Musk dancing with some cats and dogs, right? Like everybody loves that. But now think about what they can do to foreign governments. Think what they can do to, somebody who's accused of murder. If they just want to eliminate someone from the public space and cancel them. We've all seen these things happening already. And when we talk about this kind of technology taking such a huge leap like this, that just makes me nervous. Where's the ethics? Where's the conversation about morality and what we're actually going to use these types of tools for, and kind of come up with a consensus on what makes sense from an ethical standpoint?
Yeah,
they just don't do that.
They just made this announcement, right? And now it's starting to spread. I see it here at Citizen Free Press, Life Science, etc. You're on top of these things. Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of technology,
yes, sir.
Are you ready for dueling AIs?
Yeah.
So I'm a Grok fan. I'm a Grok fan because I'm a ex-user.
Sure.
And I'm an Elon Musk fan. I've turned around on Elon. I was not a big fan of Elon for a while. But boy, has he done a lot of really interesting things. And look, let's face it. If he had not spent $275 million on get out the vote efforts in Pennsylvania and battleground states, we might have had a different outcome of this election.
Sure.
So hats off to Elon for that. Okay, the question. I'm using Grok 2, which is the X.
For the premium folks.
AI for premium.
You're special that way.
$8 a month. Right. I'm $8 a month special. We do this, periodically when you're in. We have dueling AIs. I use Grok 2, which you can get on the premium side of X, formerly Twitter. And you use what, ChatGPT?
So I was traditionally ChatGPT, but not for breaking news, right? Or for things that are really current. Remember, all of these AI systems are only as good as the information that they're scraping from, right? So if you want So if you want the best information, you probably need to ask multiple sources, multiple AI chat options. So I use ChatGPT. It helps with like grammar, creates fun images, use it for business to kind of look at documents and things like that you already have. So like the information you're putting in doesn't require a lot of information coming out. But when it comes to like breaking news, things like that, I've actually been looking more at Gemini.
Tell us what Gemini is.
So Gemini is the Google AI. And it's just a regular open AI. Ask it a question, it gives you back answers. But you know what it does that Grok doesn't?
Tell me.
It cites its sources.
Now, that's a very good point. Okay, so let's talk about that. Have you entered our question?
I did. I entered our question for the day.
The question for the day, what was the motive of Luigi Mangione? Mm-hmm. And so I'll start off with this. Luigi Mangione, this is from Grok. Luigi Mangione's motive for the alleged assassination of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson appears to be multifaceted based on the information available. Okay, fine. And I'll just tell you the 1, 2, 3, the 4 categories. I won't go into those quite yet. I'll see what you've got. Personal grudge against healthcare industry.
Yep.
Ideological beliefs, mental health and personal struggles, speculative motives from social media.
Okay.
Okay. What do you have on in general?
Let's see. It's a little softer.
It's softer.
Yep, a little not quite as detailed, which you would expect from Google, right? Google's a biased source of information. We know that. Luigi Mangioni's motive for killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson appears to be rooted in his dissatisfaction with the healthcare system. There's a citation from businessstandard.com. 2, allegedly, he left behind a manifesto criticizing healthcare companies for prioritizing profits over patient care. Second citation there, and that comes from thedp.com.
I'd never heard of the DP.
Never heard of the dp.com, but I'm going to click it and we're going to find out.
Is that like, somebody...
No, it looks like a
like-
legitimate news
okay,
organization.
okay.
Mhm, yep. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It looks like at this
Before
point.
we go on, let me just come back to look at this journalistically. Okay, the lead, if you will, the first thing. I'll read here from what we have on Grok 2. Luigi Mangioni's motive for the alleged assassination of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson appears to be multifaceted. Okay, so that's a good lead.
Agreed.
In the sense it says alleged. But your lead says something different.
It does.
What's it say?
It says Luigi Mangioni's motive for killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson appears to be.
Boom.
Yeah.
So, okay, so
not very journalistically.
well, this is, as we look at all these various versions of AI, where in this instance, Google's Gemini, its lead description to we have the same prompt, same
Right.
question.
Yep.
What was the motive? Doesn't use the word alleged. And you always, believe me,
Right.
in journalism,
That's right.
when somebody is arrested, the word you always have to say is alleged. Otherwise, they have cause for action against you.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Very
So-
important. Yeah.
So continue with what you've got.
So let's see. Third citation. This suggests that Mangioni's actions were driven by a belief that the healthcare system is fundamentally flawed and that harming those he perceived as responsible for this system was justified. And that came from the Star Tribune, which is interesting because that's where Brian Thompson, Star Tribune is a Minneapolis newspaper.
I know the Star Tribune.
So I do too.
Lefty,
They're
left. They're beyond
awful.
awful.
They're the reason Tim Walz was able to make it through a vetting process.
They're
Because
so
the
awful.
Tribune has never done anything negative on that man. I don't think.
yeah, they're terrible.
If you can find one, please send it to me because I
So-
would love to see it.
And again, now we look at the sources. Okay, so now we're looking at what is truth. My alma mater's motto is Veritas, Latin for truth. They have gotten as far away from truth as you could possibly get, but that's what we try and do, right, with this. I think it's interesting. I don't think in this instance, when we go to Grok, there's no mention of the back surgery issue.
Mine either.
So this is why you need the Tennessee Star, the Star News Network, and the Michael Patrick Leahy Show and E.J. Host. We'll be back with more after this.
It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And we're going to close out this hour on the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. In studio, EJ Host. EJ, 40 days and 40 nights until 47.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Highly anticipating January 20th.
You know what it's like waiting for Christmas when you're a kid?
Yeah.
Now it's an inscrutable 40 days until we
Right.
get Trump there. And everything's going to change. Everything's going to change.
It's changing already.
Yes, it is.
I think, we might be surprised to see that it's just going to be more of what's already been happening. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And I don't need a big change or, it'd be great if January 20th was somewhat uneventful, right?
We'll see. So here's what's interesting about this. So Congress has, the old Congress, the one that was elected in 2022, is still in session. Mm-hmm. It's got 4 more days this week and 4 days next week. Mm-hmm. They've got one thing to do, and that is the government, quote, runs out of money on December 24th.
Right.
So I think all they're going to do, I was talking with a member of Congress, friend of ours, yesterday, and he said, look, really, we got one thing to do, and we got to pass the budget so we don't shut down over Christmas. And you talk about this whole budget
the
thing.
shutdown thing. It's always a threat, right?
Yeah, and of course, when it's only essentials, when they shut it down, they still 70% of government still
Everything
goes on.
still functions.
But what's interesting about this is we're going to basically have a vote on what's called a continuing resolution,
Right.
which is the budget.
Which is a kick the can down the road. Typically, we disagree with that. We'd like a budget that actually sticks.
Well, the way they're supposed to do it when they act in regular order is the appropriation process first goes through a subcommittee on that particular area of interest. Then it goes through a committee, and then it goes through rules, and then it goes through a full, and it's all put together after they've scrutinized every element of the budget. They've only done that 2 or 3 times in the past 30 years, and they constantly get in a position where, we're going to run out of money tomorrow. We've got to sign this 5,000-page bill, which we're going to give to you like at midnight.
On the 24th, too, right?
Yeah,
They have till the 24th.
And you got to read it, and you got to pass it. If you don't vote yes on all these, terrible things, the government will shut down. And you've got 10
There's
seconds.
a translation of that.
Yeah.
That is, do this, or you're not going to get reelected because all the people in your district are going to be mad that you didn't, pass this continuing resolution.
Yeah. So what's interesting about this is usually, you don't want to kick the can down the road. This resolution, the fiscal year, I know this because I was just coming into Washington as a budget analyst when the first thing happened. The fiscal year used to be the annual year, and then they changed it. They had a transition quarter so that the fiscal year begins.
September, isn't it?
The fiscal year begins October 1st.
Right. Okay.
Which means if you want to have this current fiscal year, is called fiscal year 25 because it ends on September 30th, 2025. What you should do is have all your hearings in 24 and then in the summer of 24, have a big vote on all the compiled budget, right? That's what you should do. But what happened is, on September 30th, they passed a continuing resolution that funded the government till December 24th.
Because everybody was too busy running for office, and
There's
always something, yeah.
So here we are now. The budget runs out on December 24th. I have a point of view on this. I think the continuing resolution should pass, but it should only go until the beginning of March. And it should not cover all of the fiscal year, which goes to the end of September, because if you pass something until the end of March and Donald Trump comes in on January 20th, our buddies Vivek Ramaswamy and our buddy Elon Musk and the Department of Governmental Efficiency with the new head of OMB, the old head, Roosevelt, who's a great conservative, and the new general counsel there, Mark Palletta, also a great guy, great attorney. They will have the opportunity to take all these suggestions by the Department of Government Efficiency and put them into the budget.
Right, into the real budget.
That begins, that would begin on March 1st. Now, your thoughts on that? Would you agree with me or not?
I don't think it's enough time for March 1st. I'd rather give it another 30 days. I think that probably makes the most sense. So if we actually go 3 months, it would be January, February, March.
So you put it to...
I would put it to the end of March.
Or in other words, you put it to April 1st.
Yeah, April 1st. Well, that's
inappropriate.
Is that a joke?
It was better than my Weeping Willow joke.
Okay. Unintentional.
Which
but
is
I'll
a
take
pretty
it.
low bar.
But I don't think it gives us quite enough time. That said, they obviously have not done their job to give us an actual budget either. So I think, whether we like it or not, I got news for you, Michael. It's going to pass. The CR is going to pass. They're going to do that. But the timing, I think, is up for grabs.
How long do you think it's going to go? How long
I think it'll be 3 months, like almost always. Yeah. I'd almost be okay with 5 months, 6 months. Because I think Doge and the caucuses, it's not just about what, these brainstorming sessions are coming up with and what Elon and Vivek are going to suggest to Congress to do. You have to remember how slow the caucuses will move. So even though we've got good people that are really taking this thing by the horns and saying we're gonna start to rein in some of the spending, they have to get it passed by both chambers and all through the committees. That's going to be a little difficult.
There will be an effort to extend the continuing resolution to September 30th.
See, I think that's too far.
I agree.
I think that's too far.
I think March 1st is better. I'll tell you why. Just, rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
All right.
There is that.
E.J. Haas, you're back on Friday, right?
Yes, I will be back on Friday.
All right. Thanks so much. Up next, we'll be with the Tennessee bonus hour for Memphis and Nashville. The rest of you will be Rob Carson. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy. Back after this.